I've been wearing wearables for over 3 years now, and today I want to share the actual dangers of what can happen if you buy one of these devices, the things that can actually change your life and maybe make it better, and generally what I've learned wearing these devices over the past few years. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Momentous, more on them later. So I bought my very first wearable, which was actually the Oura Ring, in December of 2018. I got it sometime by February 2019, and I just keep putting on devices on my wrists. I've got the Whoop on my bicep. I've worn continuous glucose monitors. I have a ton of videos on my channel if you want to go watch those, diving into detail about each of the wearables. Today I want to take a higher level approach and just share my journey over the past few years, what I've learned, and kind of things that you should watch out for, especially if you're just getting into the wearable world. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of the life cycles of what happens when you buy a wearable. The first time you buy it, there's the novelty, the excitement factor, kind of the obsession and the energy around the data, the numbers, using the device becomes a big part of your life. And you're like, oh, every single metric matters. And when you see a number, I don't know what it is, but as a human species, I think we just want to optimize. So you're like, how can I get a better deep sleep? How can I get a better resting heart rate? How can I get a better HRV? And this first phase is what I like to call the obsession phase, where I personally, and I think most people that I've seen, get obsessed over the numbers and they try to optimize every single thing. After a few months of that is phase 2 of 3, which is kind of the education phase. You start to understand different behaviors in your life and how they impact your biometrics. So maybe it's drinking alcohol affects your sleep, drinking coffee too late can impact your heart rate during sleep, and finally getting educated on things that you maybe did realize or didn't realize could negatively or positively impact your day-to-day. And the final stage is phase 3, where you're like, all right, I learned everything. I know what the wearable tells me. I know if I do this, then Y is going to happen on my wearable device. And at this point, most people decide, I don't need to wear this device anymore. I'm going to cancel my subscription. I'm going to stop using the product, and it just becomes a paperweight inside of a drawer. There are the select few who, like me, just keep adding more wearables and they just non-stop wear them every day. So just be aware that this is kind of the life cycle and the phase that you might go through when you do purchase one of these. Now, what are the dangers of actually having a wearable device? Now, having tracked a lot of things about my health, whether it's with wearables, things by my bed, things that I wear day to day, things that I kind of use, whether it's a smart scale, what are the dangers of actually incorporating all this data into your life? So if you ever watched one of my first videos in 2018, I think I talked about the Oura Ring. The very first thing I mentioned in that video was ortho insomnia. And I'm pretty proud of myself that I stuck to that from the beginning. And what ortho insomnia is defined as is once you start capturing this data, it gives you a little bit of anxiety, which then actually ruins your sleep. So if you know that you're the type of personality where once you start to get data, you realize, oh my, I'm not sleeping that well, and the data is now telling you you're not sleeping well, so then you get anxious about that, and then you don't sleep well, and it becomes this vicious cycle. That can be dangerous, and I've seen it happen to a lot of friends, and you need to be aware that you take all this data with a grain of salt, you allow it to inform how you feel, but you don't let it define how you feel. The next danger is sleep stage obsession. I've seen a lot of people, and even Instagram ads, that say, hey, I took this supplement and it increased my deep sleep by X% on my Y gadget. That is a bit of a dangerous world to go into, because even if you do a PSG, a polysomnography, and you give it to 2 researchers who are meant to actually analyze the data, they're going to be 90% different in terms of how they decide your sleep stages. The next best thing is one of those headbands that you can put on your brain, and some of those are 80% accurate to what your sleep stages might actually be. And then you add in the wearable piece, and now they're using accelerometers, algorithms, machine learning, and a whole bunch of data to try to predict what sleep stage you might be in based on these other variables. And if you're someone who's making life decisions, you're incorporating a supplement based on their algorithm today, what if they change their algorithm next year? Like Oura Ring changed their algorithm, and now my deep sleep and my REM sleep is drastically different. So if I was making decisions based on sleep stages, that's a bit dangerous, because now those sleep stages are a bit invalid in terms of the data and the algorithm. So my decisions are no longer valid either. So being careful when it comes to how you make these decisions. When it comes to wearables and sleep, I try to focus on the duration of sleep, resting heart rate, HRV sometimes, and that's pretty much it. I'll look at the other stuff, but I don't look into it as much detail as everything else. Next is an HRV obsession. So HRV is heart rate variability. Essentially means the variability between your heart rate, and that can be measured between one single heartbeat and another, or it could be a set of heartbeats, and every device measures it slightly differently at different times of day. They calculate it differently, so you can't compare wearable to wearable, and I would also never compare person to person. Heart rate variability is going to be drastically different than your heart rate variability, but there was a time where I got obsessed and I wanted to see how could I increase my HRV as much as possible, because I felt like the higher the HRV, the better my body could perform. But sometimes these little hacks that you try to do are not that valuable, and it's really just about the foundational pillars of living a healthy life, consistent sleep schedule, good nutrition, and exercise. If you're not getting those 3 consistently done, all this other stuff does not matter. And I will bet you money that most people are not consistently getting those things done. And these little hacks are not going to fix your problems. And lastly is the recovery and readiness obsession. Although these values can be helpful, I do like that the Oura Ring will tell me, hey, did you eat close to bedtime last night? Or did you drink alcohol? Your heart rate is elevated. I love those insights because they kind of give me a little nudge. I would not obsess over them. It's so easy to be like, wow, my readiness score is low today. My recovery score is low today on my Whoop. I'm not ready to perform. I can't run the marathon. A lot of these are now giving features where you can actually turn it off if you're competing and you don't want to see that number. But taking that with a grain of salt, because I wear so many, it's easy for me to see my Whoop and my Oura data at the same time. And there are days where one says you're green and the other one says you're yellow. So knowing that it's just one single data point and not allowing it to change how you feel, because it's so easy to allow these external variables to influence how you feel. And that can be dangerous because placebo is actually very powerful. And I know there are some apps out there that actually give you higher sleep scores just because they know that the placebo effect is so powerful that if they give you a high sleep score, you're going to think you slept better. And because you think you slept better, you're going to perform better. And thus you actually do perform better. Now, speaking of the good things that can actually happen by wearing wearables and health tracking all the time is understanding, do certain things actually help improve your overall sleep, which I personally look at heart rate, total sleep time, and one of my favorites is Momentous, the sponsor of this video. They make these sleep and cognition supplements that use these 3 main ingredients, which are designed to help improve your overall sleep. You've probably heard about them on the Human Lab podcast, and it's built so that way you can have a deeper sleep and a more balanced routine. What are the 3 ingredients inside? There is magnesium L-threonate, which is the most effective magnesium to cross the blood-brain barrier. Most Americans are deficient in magnesium, so I personally take magnesium almost all the time. There's apigenin, which is shown to promote relaxation, and I found it kind of just calms me down before sleep. And lastly, L-theanine, which can help promote a calm state of mind. I like to take this 30 minutes before bedtime, not with too much water though. So that's just inspired me to continue taking them. Not only that, I love Momentous supplements in general because they're double third-party certified by NSF Certified Sport and Informed Sport. So I know that it's guaranteed banned substance free. I believe they make some of the highest quality supplements. So anytime I'm buying any supplements, whether it's sleep supplements or any daily supplements, I make sure to buy from Momentous. And if you want to as well, click the link in my description. Use discount code Shervin to save 15% off your order. It helps support the channel. Thank you, Momentous, for sponsoring this video. Now, more onto the good things about health trackers. Giving me insights in terms of XY behavior actually helping my sleep, my fitness, whatever it is. So because I focus specifically on resting heart rate, HRV, and total sleep time, I use those metrics to see if a supplement that I take before bed actually helps or doesn't help my sleep at night. And I think that's one of the valuable components is it creates this lifestyle accountability. So I know if I drink alcohol, even as like 1 or 2 glasses of wine before bed, my resting heart rate spikes through the roof. And I can even see my HRV and resting heart rate, the point at which kind of the alcohol gets out of my system. It's usually a couple hours within the night, depending on how many drinks I've had. So now I try to be intentional with, hey, if I'm going to practice this unhealthy behavior, I'm doing it intentionally and I know it's going to mess up my numbers. Or I know that it's going to mess up my numbers and I'm like, tonight's not the night. I prefer not to do that to my body. And the second variable to that is like caffeine intake. I stop taking caffeine after 2 p.m. every day because I know if I drink caffeine too late, I will also have an elevated resting heart rate when I'm sleeping at night. I love that these wearables can create this accountability factor for slightly negative lifestyle behaviors. I think behavior change is really important, and when you have a device that can help drive a specific behavior change, these devices are very good at mitigating alcohol usage and mitigating caffeine intake later in the day. And they can be also valuable to experiment with different kinds of sleep protocols to see if that actually changes how you slept that night. Next is stand alerts. I think sitting down for a long period of time is not ideal for the body. You want to be doing a mix of sitting and standing. And as most people in our society, I think we sit a lot more than we should. So to find a healthy balance between the two, I do get stand notifications from my Oura Ring, my Apple Watch, and that reminder to just get up, move around, get some blood flow in my legs is really valuable, like once again, to drive positive behavior change. The next good thing is when it yells at me for lack of exercise in most scenarios. So if I'm ill, it's okay to be lack of exercise and we kind of need a feature for that. Some of them have like rest modes and things like that. But for the Garmin, it will tell me, hey, you're detraining, or you're maintaining, or you're overtraining. Whoop will say, hey, you're overstrained, or you're understrained. So for me personally, I think the Garmin and the Whoop have really helped push me and drive me to do more cardiovascular workouts and just maintain my fitness overall. Even seeing the cardio fitness variable on my Apple Watch and knowing my VO2 max is declining, it reminds me, hey, we need to get back out there. We need to do some cardio respiratory fitness workouts to just maintain my fitness as much as possible. So as much as I don't obsess over the numbers and I don't try to get the highest highest VO2 max possible, I do use that variable to keep me accountable and maintain a decent level of fitness and not over obsess over it all. The next one is illness detection. This one is very fascinating. It's probably doesn't apply to a lot of people all the time because I really hope you're not ill. But there are periods where I've noticed, actually a couple weeks ago, I had my wearable said I had a slightly elevated temperature, whether it was skin or body temperature, and I felt a little off and I was like, oh, I'm probably getting sick. Let's be smart with what's going on. When I get this information, it helps me be a little bit more preemptive with like, all right, let's increase our vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium intake, whatever it is, to strengthen my immune system as much as possible in this last minute scenario as we can, so that way I can minimize the length of the illness. This specifically was really critical when I got COVID like 2 years ago. I was like, hey, I'm fine. I feel a little fatigued, tired. I have a kind of a cough. But my wearables were like, your respiratory rate is very high. You have a temperature that's increased. And I was like, fine, let's test for COVID. And I actually did have COVID. So because of the wearables, I did end up testing myself because I was like, oh, I'm macho. This is fine. I'm not that sick. And I did end up wearing a mask and doing all that because my wearables inspired me to get the test in the first place. And another big thing, especially for wrist-worn wearables, Dr. Mike talks about if you wear them for too long, you don't rinse them out, clean them, or there's not enough like air ventilation and there's just moisture developing under your skin, you can get reactions and rashes. So I'd be very careful with the types of bands that you choose. I make sure to wear ones that have the ability to dry quickly from the inside, or I take them off, I dry them after workouts, I try to clean them as often as possible. Don't always be wearing your watches and devices. Take them off from time to time, clean them, allow them to aerate. I know it's cool to have a tan and all that, but you don't want to develop any skin responses to these wearables because once you do, it's very hard to make them go away. And you might not be able to wear a wrist-worn device after that. But yeah, I've tested blood glucose monitors, even air quality monitors. It's so easy to get obsessed with that, with like, oh my CO2 levels need to be under 500, but now they're at 800 and now I'm stressed because I need to go open the window, increase the air quality so that way I can be more productive. Overall, what are my final thoughts? Be careful when you first get your wearable. Don't over obsess over the numbers. Take it all with a grain of salt. Use it as guidance and know that it's not perfect. And define the actual goals. Like most people say, which device should I get? Define the goals that you're trying to optimize for. Maybe it's getting better sleep. Maybe it's working out more. Pick that goal and then find the device that best fits you. If you don't define the goal and you're just buying the device out of curiosity and you're just like, hey, this is fun, this is cool, I have extra money to spend, sure, but always make sure to click the links in my description when you buy those because that helps support the channel. But it can also be a very dangerous route where you just get the device, the numbers drive you crazy, you optimize unnecessarily, and it actually makes you unhappier, unhealthier, and more unfit. So use the data, find a healthy relationship, and make sure that these health tracking and wearable devices don't ruin your life like they did to mine. They didn't, but you know. Subscribe, turn on notifications if you want to see a future video. Follow me on all the socials at Shervin Shares, X, Instagram, and Strava. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.